Okay, so very pleased to welcome Sairam, who's an engineer, current engineer at Meta, and he's going to share his personal story with his interviewing process and a lot of nuggets. And you can ask him as many questions as you like. So let's welcome Sairam. Okay, over to Sairam.
Thank you, Karthik. Hello, everyone. I'm Sairam. I'm currently a software engineer at Meta, and I'm really happy to be here. I graduated from UW in 2021, and really happy to be back here to share my experiences for the past few years. So a little bit about me, my journey. I joined in the PMP program in the EC department in 2019. Graduated in 2021. Joined Amazon. There I worked for a team called Amazon Style. We launched the Amazon's first AI recommendation-based physical stores for clothing. A great experience, met a lot of cool people, a lot of interesting things happening in 2021. Was a great year for the tech industry in general. 2023, got laid off in the first Amazon wave of layoffs. Yeah, that's how arbitrarily the Amazon journey ended. It was a little bit of like a churning time, because a lot of companies were laying off and there were not a lot of opportunities, especially when you're on a visa, you're more in a tricky situation. Took me about 3 months of interviewing, prepping, interviewing, getting rejected here and there. Joined a startup with a massive 50% pay cut, but it was something I started with again. And after a year, I joined Meta, working in the capacity infrastructure team. Now, the reason why I'm showing you all of this is this. Careers aren't always linear. You can start small, you can start big, and things can come crashing down due to reasons which are not in your control. It can be layoffs, it can be bad market, it can be just that the manager wants to, bring the stock prices up, right? It can be anything. The key to get past all this is to be adaptable, is to be ready about it. There are only a few things which you can control, and I'm going to talk about them in the next few slides. But the point here is that resilience and adaptability are crucial in any kind of market, either it's a booming market or it's a bearish market. Moving ahead. So I'll share some of the key things which I have learned in my process of preparing for interviews. DSA is foundational. No matter where you have heard it that companies are moving away from DSA kind of interviews, they're not. It's here to stay. And it is helpful in your day-to-day work as well. The way you build code, the way you design code, or design any system in a company, that basic intuition of what kind of data structures you're going to use, that basic intuition of what will be a most optimal solution to write even a smallest piece of code does play a lot of weight in the company where you work. Now, I have seen a lot of people who run around like, I have done 1,000 questions on lead code, 1,500 questions on lead code. The way I see it is that try to build intuition around it. Say if someone is asking you to do DFS, do you know the breadth of the DFS? Like, do you know the iterative solution? Do you know the recursive solution? So how I did it was, if I see a question, if I don't find any tools which I have any kind of implementation which I've done till now, if I cannot solve it that way, then I write it down, right? Say if I have not seen an iterative solution for a DFS, I just look at the code, I write it down, and then next time I see such sort of questions, I know that DFS, I have these two tools in my armory, either it's a recursive or an iterative. I'll try both of these. If they don't apply, then it's a new bucket. Then it's a new code that I need to write down. That's how you build intuition. And intuition stays with you, right? If you build that intuition, you don't have to, like, whenever you want to change job, you don't have to start lead code from scratch. if you have those written down, if you have that intuition, then you can just go through that doc and start coding again, and you will see that you're coding lead code questions, doing lead code questions in good amount of time without having it practiced since past 2 years or 3 years, whatever it is. So build intuition, and these kind of intuitions kick in under pressure. In interviews, the it's not this will not take in that, okay, I have already done this question, but having an intuition, that conversation, the interviewer understands that you have the knowledge in depth. So, and yes, practice speed and correctness, like Professor Karthik mentioned. Whenever you do a lead code question, don't do it casually. Make sure that you're trying to do it correct in the first time. And it's okay if you don't. That's practice. You eventually build up. Again, system design. Probably for SWE ones, I don't think system design are generally asked, but for SWE2 interviews, system design is definitely asked. So there are many blogs, many GitHub articles, many like many books, free resources out there where you can learn the breadth of all the approaches. What is a queue, what is a messaging queue, what is a CDN, this and that, and so. So be updated. Just make sure that you have that breadth of knowledge. That okay, if there are messaging queues, there are 3 types of messaging queues. From maybe if it's from AWS, one from Azure. Just for an example. Keep that breadth, but also make sure you are going into depth in at least one of them. I remember one of my interviews, I mentioned Kafka, and they actually went into that depth of it. What is partition? How would you, make sure the message goes from here and there, right? How would you handle scale? How would you handle errors? How would you handle backups? So know all, master few. That has been my strategy, and that has worked. And most importantly, simplicity wins. If someone asks you to design, say, a counter for clicks on an ad, ask them the scale. You don't need to jump into like, I'll put a CDN here, I'll put a rate limiter here, and this and that, and so. Ask them what's the scale. It can be a simple server. It can be a simple HTTP connection. You don't have to go like putting on different boxes. Simplicity wins. Elegant solutions is much, much, much better than piling on buzzwords. The interviewer wants to see that you are making the most cost-effective solution. And you have to, and you also should be able to explain trade-offs very clearly. I'll stop here before going ahead. Any questions till now?
Speaking proudly interviews,
right.
Most of us might not be very comfortable
right.
speaking. So like
right.
say we are practicing in the 4 walls of our room,
right.
just like looking at the question and writing our brains to come up with solutions. So that ease of expressing your thoughts, simultaneously also making sure that what you're typing is correct. How do you get to that point?
Are you talking about the coding questions or the system design?
The coding
coding questions. Okay.
Yeah.
A very simple way to do it is explain your friend. Whenever you're doing a question, are you able to explain to your friend what are you doing? What is the brute force? How your optimal solution is better than the brute force? If you can do that, the interview is not going to be much different than that. And your friend can do the same to you. So what's happening. You can see like they can give you very good feedback. Or you are pausing here a lot. You are spending way too much time here. So that's a good exercise. Thank you for asking that question. No more questions.
Any other question?
Yes. It depends on the company. I cannot generalize that question, but then if you see, maybe if you're reading on forums that they're asking, then probably just a breadth of knowledge is good enough. They would not expect at least an SD1 to go deep, very deep into the curriculum. No more questions. I'll move ahead. And this is a very important thing. Go beyond theory, build real things. There are many open source questions, open source implementations out there. Like people are building Redis of their own from scratch. Now, or build a CDN or build a rate limiter. You know, go out there, find those accounts and try to implement these things. Now, why this is very important is you don't have the first-hand experience of implementing system at a system level, anything, right? You do lead code, you do system design, but you only know at a theory level. When you go down there and you actually implement that at the system level, you understand the nitty-gritties, you understand why tests are important. In Instagram, a couple of years back, there was an outage which caused like millions of dollars of loss. Why? Because the database was not zero indexed. A simple test case would have prevented that, right? So go build real things. You know, there are implementations out there. If you don't want to implement, just go read how the implementation is done. See how the system level code, how is it implemented, how the unit tests run, why are they important. Create that habit. You know, you can start small. You can take a small application of it. Say rate limiter. There are multiple algorithms of rate limiter, right? Just start with that, and you can gradually go bigger and bigger. That was about interviewing. This is about the application. Well, in this market, you must have experienced that for a normal job, there are thousands of applications, right? How to be ahead of that? You know, there's no there's no freelance here. You know, you have to apply to thousands of companies, but there are tools to help you apply to a company. Like there are browser extensions, and there are actually tools out there, AI tools out there, which help you do that automation for you. Explore that, and there are free ones as well. Build your brand. This is a very interesting point. Whenever you read something new, maybe a new paper, maybe whenever you're coding something, maybe you're building a code or maybe building a product, put it on LinkedIn, make your network, let people see what you're building. When you do that, you know, you never know, opportunities can come from any corner, right? And people will treat you as a credible person. Otherwise, it's just, you know, it's just that they will see that you joined this company and they don't know you joined this company in this year, and that's the only information they have about it. So build your brand. Now, this is a incremental process. It takes time, but then it pays a lot. So do that. And one important thing which I've realized in the last a couple of years is always be interviewing, even if you're happy in your job, because you should know what's being asked in the interviews. What is it that the current market demands? Doing that helps you to be ahead of the race. You know, at least you're aware. Like, you know, layoffs, if layoff happens, you are under less pressure. You are one step ahead than others who are still preparing to reach there. And yeah, keep your skills sharp and reduces future pressure. So in summary, my journey had saturation, innovation, layoff, and I also got a new role. So don't be bogged down by it. It's all part of the process. You know, there are ups and there are downs, but the key thing is that you're consistent, you're moving ahead. Prep smart, DSA intuition, system designs, build real stuff, apply smart, LinkedIn presence, and use tools, and have volumes of applications. Stay ready, always be interviewing, and leverage AI. I cannot stress this more enough. Do you all know that you have Gemini free access for a student for a whole year? If not, then you know now. So leverage that. You know, if you leverage that to like get an understanding on a concept, on any coding or any explanation. If you don't understand a code, just throw it in GenAI, explain this code to me. Use that, leverage that. You know, in companies these days, it's an expectation that we use AI and become more efficient. So if you're already in a habit of doing that, you will be already ahead of a lot of people. And more importantly, be resilient. It's tough out there, but be consistent and you'll definitely shine out of this. You can connect with me on LinkedIn if you like, and good luck. Any questions?
So, environment interview, talked about asking you, yes,
Right,
was,
right.
how do you practice that, like personally?
Practice that. Maybe you can just build say for example, if I talk about Kafka, right? You can build a local server on your laptop. You can just send information from. You can create 2 servers. Just send information from one server to the other. See how that works. It's a simple implementation. It's a library. Just import the library. You see, and then you understand what are the nitty-gritties of it. You don't have to do it on a scale to understand things. You can do on a small scale. You'll understand. Okay, what is a partition? And then you Google about it. Okay, if this partition I'm sending 10 messages at a time, how about if I send 100,000 messages at a time? There are resources out there which will tell you, okay, this is how they deal with it. So start small, build a local server, and you can do it locally. Just make small applications. That will give you a really good insight into it.
So you mentioned about like completely to the
Yeah.
So I wonder that how is the, when you apply for the aspect, that's a lot more. How does the, like, personal get involved? How do you found it?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that. It depends from company to company whether they evaluate that. The reason I say it is it may or may not be much helpful for you in an interviewing process, but then it will be much helpful to if some questions come around system level, then the expertise you bring, the way you answer bring will put you ahead of many other candidates. They might not necessarily check your GitHub, but the way you answer will be definitely different than other people. If no more questions.
That was pretty good presentation. Thanks, Sairam, for coming.